president, I have no idea what we were doing.
I don't.
We're playing a game
remember either.
called La Bataille de Moscowa, and we are at the beginning of the 1240 turn. I guess we need to roll for whatever magical things happen on the command side of the universe, and that's that. And then we have to figure out where we're going to spend command points and all that usual good stuff. So,
Yeah.
yep. And over
Somebody want to roll my random roll?
David, I think you can do it now. I think you've learned.
Your mojo is probably better now. Yeah.
I don't count on that.
What state are you in now?
50.
All right, I'm not bad. Okay, 54.
There you
That's
go.
54. That's not bad.
I'm Kutuzov. I'll roll for the Russians.
Okay. A 55. That's probably something equally
No idea
exciting.
what that even.
Let's see. Reserve batteries released. We need to change that to reserve batteries cloned.
Actually, reserve batteries sent back to Moscow.
Is that it?
Yes, I think you should remove all reserve batteries.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well,
As
then we
long as
will
the
go
French
into our.
guard acts it, you're good.
Yeah, we can go into our separate corners and chat and discuss with each other. So.
all righty.
Boop, 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 boop. Coalition. Well, hello, gentlemen.
Hello.
How goes it?
So I'm in my dad's elder care facilities. I'm going to be relatively quiet.
Oh, okay.
You guys can do that. Yep. But I'm just going to speak quietly and rarely.
Okay. Well, cool. We can handle that. All those fails, you can type us messages, I guess, in Discord as well. So
Right there in the message bar in the module.
Yeah, but then anyone can read it.
Oh,
So,
well, yeah,
yeah.
sure.
So, all right.
Oh.
Well, over on my side of the universe, and I think we talked about this a little bit, at least Brennan and I did, I'll need one for the 8th Division, or the 8th Corps, and then one for the Dragoon Division of Sievers, and finally one for the 12th Division. So if I could get 3, that would be lovely. I don't know what all you guys need.
I could get by with one. You know what I mean? I could just do Lavrov.
Okay.
I mean,
Eric,
if
I
want
can
to
give you
activate-
one of mine. I'll give you one of mine.
If I need the cavalry to be activated this turn, then I need 2. If that makes sense.
Okay. So, all right, that's great. So then you guys have got 3 to sort out among yourselves.
And Brennan and I, why don't we just discuss who could make the better use of the third one then?
Yeah. My cav could be a threat, but it doesn't have any action plans. You may have better action plans.
I don't really have any particular plan as it relates to the cavalry. You know, there's no real great targets out there. Everything's squared. You know, it could come up early, and then what am I going to do with it? I'll be like, well, you know, if I were to move it, you know, would I maybe put all of it over in and around the R12 area?
How about some part of 6th Corps?
You mean like the 7th Division?
Mm-hmm. Or the artillery or something. Where are the leaders where are the 7th and 24th Division leaders? They're way northeast.
Yeah, they're in the center of their units.
are those divisions in command? So they are, but the artillery's out. And Eric, you have a couple of 7th Corps battalions underneath 6 Corps guns, which is slightly odd.
Yeah. Those
Not
are,
critical, but a little odd.
yeah. Yeah, I was planning on moving. So my thinking is to push forward and basically engage his stuff there at Semenyoevskoy. So between, elements of the 12th Division and the 27th Division that are over on that side, push them forward and basically kind of just bog him down, and not let him deploy on his terms. And hopefully that'll kind of jam things up so he can't then get that battery of Duros up forward anywhere per se. So that's kind of what I'm thinking with those guys. So if you then either want to kedge or bring up the 7th Division there towards our 12 area, that would be good. That would give me some support on that flank.
Well,
Unless
what if we go bolder? And what if we not just go towards R12? I mean, if we're going to do this, why don't we take the 7th and the 20th or 4th Division and engage the French along the ravine there to the west of Semyonski?
They could unmask Napoleon's battery and let you have it.
Yeah, I get smeared. I don't really like the idea of being out there. So if we're going to do this,
I think 7th and 12th should kedge west to be northeast of the Great Redoubt, where that single square is.
and
now.
we have talked about sort of forming that new line back there.
Yeah,
Is that what
I
we're
think
talking
that's
about?
where it belongs. Yeah,
Okay,
and then
I agree.
the other thing is there's a gap currently, but if you had Dorokov's cavalry division, you could fade into the gap, or countercharge any French cav that tries to play funny business through that gap.
Mm-hmm.
My cavalry is coming to support you is a couple of turns away. Oh yeah, on the other hand, I have some pretty fun stuff I can do with 4th Cavalry Corps against Roberts on the far west.
Yeah, the sooner you wrap up your action over there, the better, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I could do one more turn's worth and wrap it up at that point. Because everybody's going to start shifting back towards you, Mitch, but I could do...
Because I can handle Michael with what I got under one command point.
Okay.
You know what I mean? My cavalry's really reasonably set up in case he does get a little bit frisky as is.
Yeah. And you have the guards cav who could... If he gets frisky in the gap, current gap, you'd be good now. Okay. Yeah.
Then that's the plan. I'll take one for Lavrov.
Yeah.
all right.
And it's number 3. It's on the board.
Okay. So then number 1 is going to go, I guess, with Korf's cavalry. Is that correct?
Yeah. I'm going to pause, guys. Chat in a bit.
Okay. All right. Then I will take 2. And so 1, 2. All right. That's going to go there on Borisden. And 5 will go over here on Sievers. And do we have a chit number 6?
On the map?
Yeah, I was just curious. It was on the map. Did you use it? Oh, yeah, I see it over there. Okay, then I will put them on the 12th Division. Okay. All right, then let
You
me
go
roll
semi.
for. Let me roll for. I've got Karpov.
You have hammered the Poles.
Oh yeah.
Wow. Huh.
And then Vial. Okay, so then I've got. I will take number 14 and put it on Karpov. Okay. Yeah, no, it's going to be all kinds of fun over there. So we will
Good
just
God! Look at how decimated Desai and Compounds is.
yeah.
They're shadows of what they were.
Yeah. No, Friant had a whole bunch of his stuff break and run. Desai hasn't engaged yet. Compans has suffered quite a bit. Gerard has suffered a fair amount. So the other, yeah, so they're getting beaten up quite a bit.
Wow, really, this has just been such a model in how to deploy a smaller force against a larger force.
Well, it's about having the right formations and using the terrain as best you can. So this is
exactly.
what we've got. We've got somebody here. Let's see. Jeff is saying, "Evening, gentlemen. Wardrobe Plays WW2 says, hello all. Reading Library of Napoleonic Battles rules now for my learning session with Hex to Hex and LBN Veteran." And Jeff says, read them good. And Wardrobe says, this looks like the ACW Wilderness Battle. Yeah, it's not quite as bad as that. It's brush. So some of it is forest, but a lot of it is brush. So that does slow you down a little bit, but you're not getting lost and it's not catching fire. So it's not quite as bad as the wilderness. And our troops are much better trained than than anybody fighting in American Civil War. I would think that would be safe to say.
It's an interesting observation or statement to make.
Oh,
That the general level of I don't know, soldiership, something like that, was higher at this era.
oh, I mean, yeah, these troops are much better trained. So many of them are veterans, so they've fought, in multiple campaigns. Just look at their morale and stuff like that. So a lot of the guys in the American Civil War are
draftees.
Yeah, they're drafted. They're called up. They don't have as much training time, kind of stuff. This is sort of the
And there really wasn't a professional army in that era.
No, I mean the U.S. professional army before the American Civil War was a tiny little thing, and most of the units that just look at how they're maneuvering around. While the individual soldiers might have been brave and whatnot, you've also have the whole issue of command. Suddenly you have these big armies, and the armies are only getting bigger, and they're harder to try to get a handle on.
Everybody way in over their head.
Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt. So here, all of these leaders are
every unit's green.
Yeah.
And they're commanded by inaptitude.
Yep.
Other than every once in a while, somebody's great. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Yeah. So for the most
I never
part,
thought much about that aspect of the Civil War.
Yeah.
Huh.
No. So that I think it's fair to say that the troops here that we have would run circles around the Confederate or Union. Now, as time went by, particularly the Army of Northern Virginia, they started to get some different veteran units, but the problem you have is, once they get decimated in some of these different battles, now that solid cadre is much diminished. So it's one of those things that takes time to build back up again. But here at this particular battle, everyone is pretty excited about and pretty experienced in what they're doing. Let's see, Jeff says, Eric, hope you post pictures of Vimero. I'm planning on doing that. I'm probably going to do a little video about what I saw there at both the lines of Torres Vedras and at Vimero. So, see, I guess we can go back up to the lobby.
We can, because we can just wait for the French there.
Yeah.
I'll see you there.
Yep. So, yeah, I'm planning on doing a little video. Let's see. Jeff says, yay, Northern Virginia, home. Well, it was home. I moved to that other Virginia to the west. Oh, yes, West Virginia. So, yeah. So, they had a really nice interpretation center that they built in and opened in 2008 on the 200th anniversary of the battle. But the problem was that the village itself has grown from what size it was, 200 years ago, and so the sort of the main hill where a lot of the fighting happened is all covered by houses, and then they put the visitor center on a section of the line, so you're like, okay, well, this is kind of where the British were, and. So it's like a lot of things. I don't think they, anyone thought of like, well, we're going to preserve the battlefield. That wasn't a concept that they had. But now, fortunately, a lot of the area around it, it's all farmland. It's very rural around there. So you can see definitely the approaches that the French took, and so that's good. But what really struck me was the lines of Torres Vedras, just how steep the hills are, and this sort of commanding views that you've got where you could see for miles. So there's no way that the French could do anything without being observed by the British and Portuguese. And if they thought to attack, they would just get, going up a slope, a 30-degree slope, in any sort of battle formation, just good luck with that. So
I like how far those cannonballs roll.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, they would have just gotten completely hosed. Well, and what would have happened was on Wellington's withdrawal back towards Lisbon, he stood and fought at a place called Busaco, which was basically like a ridge. He wasn't dug in or anything like that, but because it's so steep, and the ability for where the French could attack was like really narrow, and so they're coming right up into the teeth of the guns and the British in line and everything else, and they just get completely shot to pieces. So when Massena then gets to north of Lisbon, where he sees not only they've got the ridges that are the same, but Wellington's got fortifications built on top of them. And he's like, yeah, no, this isn't going to work. So I think they only made one attempt to kind of do some skirmishing there, and otherwise they just kind of sat and waited. The problem was that the British had brought in all the Portuguese from that area north of the lines, and they were supposed to bring in, as much of their food and livestock and everything else, so the French wouldn't have much to live off of. And so after a while, the French kind of ran out of food, and people are getting sick, and Massena's army is getting exhausted, and shrinking, and then eventually he's got to pull back out. And so when he does that, that's when Wellington moves forward, and from there on out, he pushes the French out of Portugal, and then sets up stuff to invade Spain. So it's one thing to see, as like anything else, just see it on the map, but then it's another thing to actually see it and you go, oh my gosh, this would be a serious obstacle. You don't really appreciate it until you're there and you're like, oh my gosh, I would not want to have to be marching up this hill. So, but the battlefield there at Vimero, the English were deployed in line. They had a heavy screen of skirmishers, which is something that the French weren't used to. And their skirmishers come up and they can't really get the British skirmishers to move back. And the British skirmishers have got a bunch of riflemen there too. They got the 95th Rifles. And so the French skirmishers aren't having the success they usually have. And then the French battalions start coming up in column. And instead of, the British line kind of being, worn down maybe from skirmishing or artillery, because the artillery couldn't get any good shots on them, the French battalions are coming right smack in column right into these lines and getting just destroyed by firepower. And because they're in this fairly narrow column, then the British on either side kind of come forward and enfilade them. And just within the space of like 3 minutes, the British have gotten off 15 volleys, and the French hightail it out of there. They basically, the whole attack is blunted, and then it happens again and again and again. And even with the grenadiers, they can't get through. So
Sounds like Trafalgar.
yeah, well, I'm not sure if it's quite analogous to that, but
Like you're crossing the T each time.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, if you're thinking of it that way, yes, yeah, and so it was pretty rough on the British. So I've got Lock and Load put out a game of Vimero, Rolissa and Vimero, which are those two early battles there in Portugal. So I'm planning on playing Vimero and seeing just how close they hold to it. I'm going to try to do what the French did, just slog forward and see if they get kicked in the teeth, and hopefully they do, in which case then Terry did a good job with the game design and mechanics. So they should get blunted if they use those older tactics that worked against, the Russians and the Prussians and the Austrians, but didn't work against the English, because the English had a much more sophisticated skirmish line than those other powers did at that point in time. So let's see. Jeff says, regarding, I presume, the stuff being built over the battlefield, he says, wow, sounds like what they did to Manassas. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't been to that one. Grim Harbinger pipes in, you called for an Englishman? Yes. Hello, Grim. Hopefully all is well in your part of the universe. So, yes, although we had a chance to chat with a fair number of Englishmen there in beautiful Portugal. There were a lot of them on vacation, so. Oh, Jeff says, building homes all around the battlefield. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't. I know that there were some battles up in northern Portugal, there around Porto, and there were a few kind of in the center of the country. But because we were down in Lisbon, we didn't have a chance to get to any others. So I have no idea how they treated the other battlefields. But at least from what I know from, I think Ed Wimble, who had been to some of the different ones, a lot of the stuff, they just went back to farming. And so, highways and airports and whatever else got built over the top of stuff. Apparently, the battlefield at Wagram is where the Vienna airport is, or something like that, from what someone was saying. So, and when you think about it, they had a fair number of other battles crisscrossing the same terrain 100 years later in the First World War, and then another 30 years later in the Second World War. So, all right. Well, we've got lots of excitement here. Let's see about our cup. So we can start to drop in all of our usual stuff. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 14, and 15. Okay, we got all the Russians in the cup. All the Russians in the cup, ready to roll. Well, good. How else are things with you, Mitch?
Oh, we're kind of getting to the last part of the semester, and I got invited to do a lecture in the class I'm a TA for on the final project. That was kind of an unforeseen sort of ego stroke, I guess I'll call it.
Okay.
So that was kind of exciting in its own way, right?
Cool. That's always nice when that happens.
So I had to program, for the final project, it sounds so amazingly simple. You have to program a traffic light for a pedestrian crosswalk.
Okay.
Using some encoder logic that, and button presses and so forth. And gosh, you're just controlling 5 lights and some button sequences and so forth. But the code it's just crazy how long it gets just handling something that's simple. It's like, really? Really? Like 400 lines to make this happen? It's crazy. But it is what it is. They've got a heck of a project ahead of them.
Well, cool. And what are you planning on doing once you get your degree done? Are you going to be...
I'm not sure I'm going to get a degree.
Okay.
I've started if you're kind of asking, why am I doing all this? I'm not looking for a degree, because a degree is a piece of paper that you're looking for a job, and I'm not looking really for any of that. So I'm mostly learning computer science for myself. And so I started over spring break a new thing. Generally, we'd call it a data structure that's geometrically based in its core. And so it allows me to really kind of introduce any sort of geometric function real naturally into it. And so I can turn things on and off based upon a geometric function, which is kind of neat.
Right.
Yeah, and I can do it in 3 dimensions, and I just have a lot of control. I don't have any floating point errors. It's just neat.
Cool.
I think it's kind of badass. And so I'm going to keep working on that, and I'm not sure where that leads, but I'm definitely getting to the point where I can write more interesting code. Definitely going to help my art.
So is that why you were learning it then? So it's more for your own personal, professional development kind of a thing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Okay.
I need to understand because I'm very interested in where computer science and art join.
Okay.
Hey, folks, back in.
Okay.
Good to have you. Well, I made some amazing progress. I told Brendan a little bit about this program I was writing, and I was like, wow, this thing is turning out to be neat. I'm not sure I don't know. We'll see. I'm not sure if it's like anything else out in the universe. I'm just like enjoying the process of learning how to build these more complicated ideas,
Right.
taking on an interesting structure. It's called a quad tree or a quad node. And so it just lends itself to dividing up a square into 4 nodes, and it just becomes your quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4 real naturally. And you can apply this recursive technique to it that just keeps subdividing for extreme sort of precision in a more the way a Roman or a non-Frenchman would do it, because it kind of goes back to this whole metric versus the English system, and the English system really isn't the English system. The English system is the Roman system or the Greek system or the
Right.
Pharaoh system. It's, hey, we divide stuff in half and we use trigonometry and geometry to solve problems,
Right.
spatial problems. And the French said, this is too freaking complicated. We're done with this. We're going to introduce the metric system. We just divide everything up into 10
Right.
and we're done. And I've always been a fan of the metric system because I kind of like that 10, but then I started getting into computer science, of course, and base 2 kind of lends itself to thinking in terms of the way the ancients did.
Right.
Just kind of an odd thing. You'd think the metric would be more way computer like friendly, but it's not. It's the way of the Greeks that's way more friendly to a computer.
Interesting.
Could you use the quad tree to develop algorithms for this game?
For this game?
Yeah, for La Bataille.
I suppose you could, yeah.
Like for an AI, like how it would play.
Yeah.
There would be a goal setting thing, attack, defend, media engagement. Then underneath
Isn't that a fantasy, is to build a competent AI to play these games?
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be extraordinary?
Well, the interesting thing is, so building a competent AI is one thing, is probably the goal. But another goal is to capture out the human algorithms that are heuristics that we're using to actually play. And some of it is pretty explicitly definable.
Interesting, because you could do vlogs, and if the computer could understand what was going on, you could just feed it, and it could just learn its own patterns.
Well, part of that's the bottom up, statistically random, but eventually effective way. I'm thinking of the opposite, top down.
We feed them our games.
Yeah, but do we feed them our rules, our mental rules?
Well, see, that's an interesting idea, right? Because then you're presuming that you have the right ideas and the machine couldn't find better patterns. I think generally speaking in machine learning environments that the human perceived best factors don't turn out to be the ones the machine finds.
I agree, both. You'd want to do both. I think there's a lot of interest in capturing the human algorithms and heuristics, but I think there's also an equal interest in going bottom up and letting the machine do it itself and comparing. Like if you read Jomini's writing, there's a lot of very prescriptive or descriptive, at least, algorithms about the single biggest thing that he talks about is concentration of force, so that at the place where you're actually doing the fighting, where you want to have 3-to-1 or 4-to-1 in every type of horse and foot and guns advantage over the enemy, because if you can do that,
do you think that would naturally arise either direction you try to solve this problem?
I think as a conclusion it will, but what you see typically in beginner players is they don't do it. You typically see beginner players avoiding not even being aware of concentration of force and really spreading things out very evenly like peanut butter. which
I
is
think that
dead.
depends on the kind of
dead
player,
wrong.
right, that has learned these lessons that you're talking about. I used to play this guy who was a former soldier
Mhm.
and was really tactically oriented, and he just knew how to just maximize everything. He was just leaps and bounds ahead of me in this concept you're talking about. But he had the training, and he just applied it to the mechanics of the game we were building. So it was,
Right. And what we're doing is the opposite. We're trying to take the mechanics of the game and reverse engineer good military concepts and implement them, and then compare for historical authenticity. So it's like some of both.
It is interesting, the game, and we've talked about this numerous times, how the game rewards era appropriate tactics.
It totally does, like the checkerboard of the infantry and the dynamic movement of the cavalry, and the cavalry going in waves with at least half retained, and the cavalry's best formations are diamonds, not lines. In lines, they're brittle and they can't protect each other's flank. In diamonds, the offset rear regiments give coverage to the forward ones. It's way more effective.
Well, and you've talked about maximization of force, and that's even kind of complicated when you think about it. And that is that, in the classic, say, Avalon Hill war game or SPI game, you basically just get everything you can on the front line and to maximize your odds for whatever sort of attack. And there's very little incentive to build layers of force. You know what I'm trying to say? And here, maximizing force is having those guys to manage an appropriate frontage so that you can rotate guys front to back and
Yes,
not necessarily get everybody on the front line.
And with geometrically correct positioning, with intervals having a whole lot more strength. The intervals are stronger than the units, oddly.
Do you sometimes feel like the hexagon grid creates a rigidity that's unfortunate?
No, I think the hexagon grid in this particular game system is very helpful, because it may not be exactly distance accurate, but it's concept accurate, which is that it's a unit and then some space, and then the next unit and some more space. And that's very historically accurate.
What I'm implying is, what if we could play La Bataille and use the counters and completely abandon the hexagons, and units could simply move where they needed to move? And
As long as there was an interval, you would find that, like, if you were just playing,
I think you could create. I sometimes feel like the hexagons create this sort of weird. If you're faced east and west, the rules sort of are different than if you're facing north and south.
I think it's secondary. I think they're much more helpful than they are hindering.
Because
they create a structure. Yeah. Like if you were just playing with distances, like rulers and compasses or something, you'd have the same intervals, because it's the gaps between the units that create.
But you could actually form square formations if you weren't tied to the hexagon shape.
Well, you just use the unit itself and square. You would keep them more or less. You'd put a counter on it, line, column, or square.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, you would keep these formations. I'm just saying you wouldn't be tied to the rigidity of you can exist wherever you need to exist, as in the middle of a hexagon.
Sure. The key thing, though, is to have empty space before the next unit.
Absolutely. I think then you would have a natural way to just do it.
Right. You'd create, a centimeter instead of 1/2.
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to create the appropriate space.
But that appropriate space would be the same. It would be 100 yards.
Right.
It wouldn't be any different.
Wow.
The lack of hexes would create slightly more rectilinear formations, as opposed to honeycomb, 60-degree ones. But
that's all I'm talking about.
But the alignments would be more correctly linear, but the distances would be as they are, and the space occupied by the units would be pretty much as they are. And it would be extremely necessary to keep empty space between units roughly equal to the frontage of one unit. That's the key concept.
Yep. No, I totally agree.
because you need the cavalry to be able to move through, you need the routed units to be able to move back, and you need the artillery to be able to shoot.
I guess my concept was really more about like, hey, we're operating in this digital world now. Do we really need hexagons anymore? In a sense.
Yeah. We could just use the line of sight measurement.
Mm-hmm.
Have
that'd
either
be
of you
fun to see.
played on Tabletop Simulator?
No.
Okay. And there was a question that had come up on Facebook about it, and I thought that it was a little bit better geared for like people playing miniatures, because you have that sort of 3D effect and you can move up and down and around. But I think Vassal does a great job with sort of hex encounter stuff like this.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
really fun.
it's a great, it's proven to be a great technique. Don't overread what I'm saying. I'm just sort of thinking, what could we challenge here? That's something,
I think it's sufficient. Like, I'm not sure we would generate that much more military theory or authentic recreation concepts if we had, full 360-degree freedom as opposed to 60-degree. I'm not sure it would make that much difference in the concept. Another example, a very specific example of why the checkerboarding works in the game and why it was used historically. It's exactly the reason that the Romans formed their legions into checkerboard cohorts while the Macedonians remained in the locked, rigid phalanx. The Romans had evolved one step beyond that. And that's why they had the Roman checkerboard of the legion. Same as here. Because then they could do formations and maneuvers and, shift one way, shift the other. The phalanx was just like block. They could go forward and push, or it could route.
Right.
That's an interesting topic.
And if you look at the 18th century armies, by and large, they're forming both their infantry and their cavalry shoulder to shoulder and boot to boot and going wall to wall. And that produced, by and large, pretty linear meat grinder results. And it's when the revolutionaries, with this much narrower column and the much looser cloud of skirmishers, began to act. Then you got these way more dynamic.
Yeah, we've been playing Battles of the Age of Reason, which are a bunch of Frederick the Great battles. And they're all on the same scale as a La Bataille. So, 100 yards across each hex, and basic infantry counters are battalions. And yeah, it's totally this, we're all lined up, and the guy next to us, and you receive a morale bonus for having some guy next to you on your flank, and the units, rarely form square. As long as you're not getting hit in the flank by cavalry, you tend to do okay with them coming right up at you, and you get a shot at them. And if they didn't break you on the initial round of combat, then they've lost that shock impetus, and it gets really bad for them afterwards, for the cavalry. So it's very interesting how that works.
Eric, is there a lot more use of the cavalry as large masses on the far flanks?
Yeah, I mean, and when I first started playing it, I'm talking to the guys and I'm watching the game, and I'm like, okay, you could have told me that you were playing an Ancients game, and I would have believed you, because it looks just like it. You get the line of infantry in the center, and then you got the cavalry on either wing, and it's repeated on the other side. They've got a little bit of artillery, and yeah, it's just you move the infantry forward and you smash and shoot at each other, and then the cavalry is doing its thing on the side, and whoever's cavalry wins then can kind of come and turn the infantry in the flank. And it's you know, it's from a sort of battle perspective, it was not entirely different than what you would have seen, you know, with the Punic Wars or anything else for that matter. So you start to see some of the changes, but what always gets me and what frustrates me is there's like, where is my horse artillery? You know, because he's got these big, huge groups of cavalry moving around that are just, you know, perfect targets for artillery, and there's so little artillery, and there's not anything that's terribly mobile, and so you're kind of like, oh, you know, curses. I don't have much to do it, but yeah, the cavalry did a lot of the work in those 7 Years' War stuff, and generally speaking, Frederick is kind of outmaneuvering his opponents, usually where he can kind of concentrate on one wing.
It's like an operational outmaneuver more than on the battlefield outmaneuver.
Well, no, but kind of on the battlefield, he's able to get like out to the Austrian like right flank and get more guys there, and the Austrians can't march as fast, or they didn't know how to march in an oblique manner or whatever else. So the Austrians are then trying to race people to counter him, and a lot of times he'll turn their flank before they can get anybody over there to kind of bail them out. So it's rudimentary. It doesn't quite have the same elegance here, where we really do have the a much more of a combined arms, you know, rock paper scissors type of stuff. But still a lot of fun and very, very interesting. And the Battles of Age of Reason, I mean, the games are really, really beautiful and very, very nice. So, hey, it looks like we've got Grim Harbinger in the lobby. How are you doing, Grim?
Hello.
How are things in beautiful England?
Sunny at the moment. Well, not at the moment, but it's been sunny today.
Okay, well, good. Well, I was down in Portugal this last week and heard a fair number of people speaking with an accent unlike yours, drinking beer and talking about football. So, and not the American kind. So.
So, standard Brit, essentially.
Exactly. So, but had a good time and had a chance to visit a couple of battlefialds and learn more about what all the Arthur Wellesley, a.k.a. the Duke of Wellington, was doing down there. So, altogether a good time.
Mitchell, if you take a look in the center of this game, are you logged into the game or are you just listening to the dialogue?
I can join if that is allowed.
Sure.
See this horrific mess.
It's a very well organized action. There's no horrific mess. The horrific mess is among the French, luckily.
Well, there is a horrific mess on the Far East.
Exactly, because they've tried to do a mass assault. But let's talk about a really good example of how things should be done, as opposed to how they should not be done. Mitchell has joined our Ligny game.
Oh, okay.
And he's starting to take over some of the French units. So looking at some really good stuff going on here, it's a good example of how to do things well, as opposed to how to do things poorly. And if you look at Mitch's section that runs from the Kalacha River across to the Great Redoubt, you can see the Russian Guard or going into action. It's its first offensive action. And what you see is a segmented firepower line. It's not a solid firepower line. And the beautiful thing about a segmented line is it has intervals. 2 hex intervals. If you look from the little water mill by the mill pond, then southeast and across the center, do you see how there are these two sets of 2 hex gaps?
find it.
Yeah, so it's over here.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's the gap. The peak of the, so what you got 3 battalions engaging by firepower. Then there's a 2 hex gap. Then there's 4 battalions engaging in line. There's high firepower, guards level. And there's another 2 hex gap, and then the flanking battalion. And the beautiful thing is, if you look 400 or 500 yards back from the line, there are moderate to very large numbers of artillery guns. And the artillery guns are using those 1 to 2 hex gap zones to pour the fire through. And so the combined impact of the formation is 5 times or 8 times higher than a solid line would be.
Yeah.
And the reason it's the segments and the gaps that create the amplification of power and give the guns a chance to work from medium range. If you just set up all the battalions, it's head-to-head, 1-to-1, and the losses are going to be equal.
It's
So
also
when-
it's also a good example of all that of the game has a lot of pent up energy, and that there comes these moments where you just feel an almost unbearable pressure to do something. It's an interesting dynamic that the game creates, and it punishes rash action horrifically.
And it rewards properly timed bold action.
Yeah.
Yeah, so don't launch your attacks early.
You want to get those segmented firepower lines arranged, and that means planning the command zones and planning the approach so that when they engage, they're just right. And then if you look to the west, to the far west, there's a woods and brush zone where we have Russians engaging against the French. Once again, you see there's a 1 hex gap. And if you look just north of the 1 hex gap, there are 4 artilleries crossfiring through it. And the French along the flanks of the gap, they're disordered because they're going to hit crossfire.
Yeah.
So it's
And when those guys go, you'll just shift, right?
then you shift the gap 1 over and do the same to the next group. And then the dynamic comes once they're 2/3 of them disordered, then that's when you launch the assault. So you want to be thinking how to maneuver your whole corps and deploy it into these segmented forms, not.
All right.
All right. The French have come back.
Yeah, the French have come back. We finally figured
After
out.
much beating.
I have to step out for 10 minutes. I'll be back.
Okay. All
Okay,
right.
attack. Brandon's out.
Yeah.
Go.
Yep. This is the time to do it. Hey, so why don't we go and identify command points, I guess.
Okie doke.
In the far west, Brennan has Korf, and he has
Right.
one more. I'm trying to.
The other one
identify
is
where
probably Tolstoy, right?
Yeah, Tolstoy.
Right. And then he's got the Cossack. Who's that?
right there.
I think that's not. It's Platov. So.
Yep.
Okay. Cool. So those are the 3 we've got out there.
Tolstoy and
Korf,
Okay. I see.
Tolstoy,
I see.
and Karpov.
Platov.
No, Platov.
I wouldn't expect very much action over in that sector.
Yeah, it's going to be quiet.
It's gonna be very quiet.
So Korf is
Korf is a
who's
cavalry
he under?
commander. He's a cavalry commander.
Oh, he's a cavalry commander.
Yeah. So
He's
he
got
commands
the-
a bunch of cavalry out here. I don't know all of it, but he's what is it? 2nd Cavalry. So
Yeah, second. So there's some dragoons out there and some hussars.
yep. All right, what have you got out there, Robert? I saw
I've got,
Orano passed his test.
Ornano, Chastel, Delzone with the 13th.
So did you give command points to well, obviously the 13th you did, and then to Chastel as well?
Right. Anything 10 or under is a
Okay. So we got 1, 2, 3 out there. Hussein is one, and then Saint Alphonse is another. Okay. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4 out there. Okay. Cool. All right. Then we move a little further. Looks like you've got the old guard has got one. Okay. So that's another one. And then Mitch has got
Lavrov
here by the Great Redoubt. Good. Then we move a little further to the east. It looks like, what is this? The Young Guard, Mortier is activated. And then you've got Colbert, Pujol. Oh, wait. And then you have De France.
De France, yes.
Okay. So that brings you guys up to 7 so far. All right. And then number 8 is going to be Davout. And then what's the other one that's a dedicated one? Because you usually have 9, right?
There's
Is
Seven
it Briere
over there.
right there? Okay. All right. So there's 9. And then, of course, you got the one for the Marat's cavalry. Okay. No worries.
Yep.
To be clear, Eric, 7 is Krasinski, not Broyer.
Oh, okay. All right. So
Krasinski is just underneath Broyer.
Oh, okay. All right. That's good to
The
know.
guy from The Office, right?
Yes. First name John.
All right.
Yeah.
So he's the
Not white.
16th division. All right. Cool. All right. And then
He's
looks
also
like you
Jack
had some
Ryan,
other light
so-
cavalry that passed
Sober.
out there.
Very true.
So
Pierre.
right,
is
Pierre,
12,
right, and then there's somebody else over here.
and that's
Kaminsky.
Kaminsky, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
15.
Cool. All right. Well, and then for me out on that part of the universe, I've got a command point that went to this corps, which is, I believe it's the 8th Corps. Yep. And then these guys made their roll. The Dragoons were activated, and then the 12th Division got there. So that's 1, 2, 3. So we've got our 6 dedicated, and then we had 2 cavalry that passed their rolls. So that's what's up with us.
All right.
Cool. Did you guys get all your toys in the cup?
Yep.
Okay, let's give it a good shake. Or think about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And I'll grab a chit. It is the Russian 3rd. I think that is
right out of the gate.
Lavrov. Good. And then it's the Russian 5th. I think that is my Dragoons. All right, let's see what else we can find. Then it's the French 14th. I don't know where they're at. And then it is the Russian 15th. So we should have a little bit of everything everywhere for everyone to look at.
All right. So that's the 4.
I don't know who's
Brendan,
got the
you
14th.
got Tolstoy, so do you want to meet down and?
Yeah, it's actually Platov's Cossacks. So
Oh, that's 4
Yep.
is in Platov.
Yep.
5.
4 is Tolstoy.
Oh, 4 is
So-
Tolstoy. Okay.
15 is the Cossacks.
Okay.
So
You
see you
wanna
in game 1-1.
go- Okay, sounds good.
All right. And Mitch, are you going to stay here, or are you going to go down to another game room with
What would you
Michael?
prefer?
You guys can go, and then I'll stick around here in the center with Rick and
Okay.
Rick and David. So, all
Like
right.
two, Mitch?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay, so let me look up and
Do you
see.
stop? I fire. Oh, that's ASL. Sorry. Carry on.
I have not played that in 100 years. So, all right, my horse guns on a 1 through 4 will limber. Okay, well, we'll try to limber them up and shuffle them around a little bit.
Which guys are limbering here?
So I've got this is the commander. We've got
Yep.
these two, and then these two, and then these two sets of horse guns. So I've got to try to figure out where to park them. And so let me go ahead and do that. We'll try to limber this guy up first. And let's roll and see if we get lucky. We do not. So he's just going to have to stay there or prolong. I think we will prolong him back. And then this guy here, we'll see if we can get him to limber up. And we do. So let's go ahead and flip him. So that's 2. And going through the stuff. Well, and you've got.
That's a
those are
horse
just
gun. Wow.
Yeah, it's a horse gun.
That's 3 increments. Wow.
Yep. So. One, 2, and then the other stuff costs how much? Cultivated are 2, so 1, so 2, 3, 4, 5. Those guys are not. Okay.
I'm back. What I missed? Grand charge.
Nope, not yet. Give me a minute. Give me a minute. All right. All right, we're going to put them right here, and then we're going to unlimber them. So you get a shot at me.
I certainly do.
Yep. So you've got,
3.
let's see, 3 plus 6. You've got 10. Well, the most you can fire out is 9 increments.
Well, let's okay, where did they start?
They were over
right
here, right?
Right? Okay.
Yep. And so they went
So,
there,
one,
and then there, and unlimbered. So 2,
1,
3, 4, 5, 6, and unlimbered 7, 8.
Okay. And, all right. So as you unlimber, I've got 3, 4, and 3. So I got 10.
Right, but only 9 can fire. So you got 9, and then you got this guy here who is in skirmish, and so he's going to be worth, I presume we got, what, 3 guys there? Okay. So you're going to, for the square, it's going to be 9 halved. So whatever that is. And then for the guy that's in skirmish, it looks like he is it French? There times 4. So that's going to be 6. So you will have, so you'll have 6 plus 5, you'll have 11. So 11 to 6,
No,
you'll have 1.5 to
wait.
1. Oh, actually,
this-
I'm defensive 8. So you'll have a 1-to-1 shot on me as I unlimber.
Wait. All right. The skirmishers get 3 times.
Right, it's 12, but it's halved because it's opportunity fire. Right?
Right.
And then your square is 9. And then they're halved.
Well, the total's 21, so it's in halved. It's 10. So
Okay, so it's 10 to 8. So it's a 1-to-1
All right.
shot.
1 to 1. All right.
Hey, that's a hit. Okay, so we take a loss and let's roll. And we're happy. Okay, cool. All right, then everybody else. We're going to come here with those guys and all right, those guys are going to move up there, and we will declare a charge with them. And these other guys are just going to move here.
I mean, when you moved here, I can start forming square if I need.
Sure. Yeah, because there's no line of sight. The village doesn't exist. So,
Right.
yeah, if you want to form square, you'd be at a range of 1, 2, 3, 4. So let's go ahead and let's have me move him back. So I'm there.
And let's see, we'll roll for that. Let's see what we got here. Let me.
Forming square. French, so I don't think there's any modifiers. Well, French guard, it says a -3. There's no modifier for anything that I've got. So you just go ahead. I don't think they can fail at a range of 4 because with a -3, you'll be definitely, even if you roll a 60 something.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay.
25.
Okay.
Square, let's see, and if next one.
Okay.
Yeah, there's square.
Yeah, that's the same thing with that. Okay. Anybody else want to form square?
Yeah, I'll do those guys there.
Okay.
Yeah. Oops. Okay. All right, so continue.
All right. Well, given that you form square everywhere, I don't know that it makes a lot of sense for me to charge you at this point. So, let's figure out what else we want to do. Up, 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 up. Yeah. Um, yeah, we will go right there, and we will declare a charge then. Okay, and let me move my leaders up so that people are in the right spot to keep everybody in command. Okay, good. So now I'm going to do my charge. So I'm going to, the guy that's within 2 hex range is this chap here.
Okay.
Okay. So I can move adjacent to you. What do you want to do?
And he is going to retreat before your charge.
Okay.
And through this square to this hex right here.
Okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to attempt to recall, and I am successful. I'm going to declare these skirmish cavalry target of my charge.
All right. And they are going to, let's see where I can retreat to. Da, da, da. 14, so I can go back 7 and not. There. Oh, I probably want to go that direction. All right, so we'll go back through these 2 squares. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5. Okay. Cool. All right. I will. Well, it's more than 5 because, right? Because he. Which way did he go? Yeah, he went up the slope, so that would have cost
6,
an extra
1.
2, right?
Oh,
So it would have been.
Up for cavalry, it's +1.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. +1. Okay.
So
All right.
6.
6. All right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Cool. I will attempt to recall.
Well, you move into that square first.
No, I don't.
Or don't?
Yeah, no, I attempt to recall here, right? Because I came adjacent to him and he retreated away. So I just attempt to recall and I succeeded. So at this point, right?
Not positive, but
I mean, the other guy, so these guys, when they retreated.
The other one, you may have had to go into that one too, but either it's going to be one way or the other, but I don't remember exactly.
I didn't think I had to advance after. If you retreat before combat, I didn't think I had to advance into
Retreat
that
before assault units that are
specific
no,
hex.
that's assault. That's what I just want to check.
Yeah.
I don't have it memorized, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Uh, 4, 1905. Retreat before 1904, 1905, 1904 is retreat before charge by infantry, retreat before charge by cavalry. It's target charge. It's okay. So infantry. All skirmishers are eligible to retreat before charge. When the charge of cavalry moves adjacent, which is the target charge, may elect to retreat before charge. They may retreat into or through an adjacent hex. Units which retreat before charge expend movement points. If they expend more than half, blah, blah, blah. When the target of the charge retreats, the charging cavalry may attempt to recall. Yes, you may attempt first then.
Right.
If it does not recall, the cavalry must advance into the target hex. Okay, so.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So since I recalled, I'm going to cancel my charge, and I'm going to then spend my remaining points. I've got 5 movement points then to move back to some other exciting part of the universe, which I will do. Now you would get a shot at me as I went from there to there, this square.
Yeah.
So you'd have basically 5 to 6 or 8. What's my fire defense? I think it's, well,
Yeah,
I don't have much left. How much do I have there? I've got 7 increments, I think.
Yeah. So you're 6.
6.
You're over 6.
All right. And so it's going to be a fire defense of 7.
I missed.
Okay. Don't worry about it. Good.
Yeah.
Then as from here, when I go to leave, right, then you'd get a shot at me as I move from this hex to that hex.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Cool. So that's going to be 2, 4, 5 will get me over there. Yeah. We'll park him over there like that. Okay. And then we need to mark him as tired.
I think you have to be, since you used all of them, you have to be faced away from me.
Why is that?
Well, you're not disordered or anything, so you got to move through your front hexes, and if you don't have any movement points in the last hex, you can't change your facing.
Oh, is that the case?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I will stay in that hex.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. All right. I think I've got that taken care of. Let's go ahead and move that leader down to a little lower in the stack. Okay. All right. And we can, I should have left the little charge marker on top of him. All right, let me flip the charge about. Charged. There we go. Okay, cool. That was that excitement. Okay, now I don't know. I'm done with mine. I think you had something over there with Colbert.
Yeah. So, guess you can. Let's see.
Okay. I'm here.
All right. Is there anything I need to be aware of you and over on my left there, Mitch?
I don't think so. No, I didn't do much.
Were you going to do anything with Colbert? Or should we pull something else from the cup?
Or you can pull something else, but I'm doing some calculations here.
Oh, that's always time to worry. All right, it's reinforcements. I don't know that we have any reinforcements. And then after that, it is Russian number 1, which I think is one of,
Yeah,
that's something out there on.
I was
And then
going to say
it's French number
calculations.
3.
Calculations. Is this a battle or a mathematical degree?
A little bit of both, maybe.
let's see. Charge from the rear. Let's roll the stand. What I'm looking for. Melee modifiers. All right. So it's better to charge a unit's flank, right?
Generally speaking, yeah. I mean, infantry, you're going to get a modifier if you charge them in the flank, provided they don't form square. And I don't think there's any modifiers for attacking cavalry in the flank. It's only infantry in the flank from what I recall from when we did the combat over on the other side of the map.
Well, it just says charging target's flank. Doesn't say in the table. It's cavalry melee modifiers chart.
Yeah, there's something in the actual rules that specify it doesn't affect cavalry. It's just infantry that have that modifier. Unless Brennan was incorrect. Because when I did that charge against Rick's guys out there, I hit his cavalry in the flank. I didn't get the modifier for it because I guess in the rules it doesn't stipulate that. I can't reaction charge though, so you'll get the benefit for that, right? There's something about the guy not being able to reaction charge maybe or something.
Well, if
It's enemy unit. It's not just infantry.
No. I know that's what it says, but when Brennan had told me when he looked it up in the rules, it specifies that it doesn't apply to cavalry, because that's what I was thinking when I had done my charge against Rick's troops, I don't know, a couple of turns ago. 1914-5.
Yeah, in 14.5, it just describes it as enemy unit.
Cavalry that charges an enemy unit in the flank has its melee value doubled for that portion of the unit contacting the enemy's flank.
Okay, interesting. Apparently, Brennan had it incorrect, or there's something else somewhere that stipulates it otherwise.
If you look at 14.3 and 4, it references. It's a different topic, like the charge, column of companies, short charge, that type of
Right.
thing. It references enemy unit as infantry and artillery. So maybe he's referencing that.
I don't know. Well, go ahead and do whatever you're going to do. We'll figure it out once you do it.
Brendan, you might not have moved anything, but I appreciated the conversation.
Oh, it's always fun hanging out.
Brendan,
Yo.
I had a question, or if cavalry is attacking cavalry in the flank, Eric was saying I don't get the bonus.
Which bonus?
That for attacking in the flank.
Cavalry versus cavalry in melee on a flank, I believe, is doubled.
Oh, so why, when I was attacking Rick a couple of turns ago and I was hitting him in the flank, you said I wasn't doubled because it's only against infantry that you get that, not against cavalry.
It's the charge doubling. It's the charge bonus.
Yeah, no, that's why it's the melee, right?
But you don't get the three hexes in a row bonus.
Oh, was that what I was mistaking it for? 3 hexes in a
I
row
think
against
so.
cavalry.
I think that's what. Yeah, I think that's
Oh,
what
okay. So it's 3 hexes in a row against that. Okay.
If cavalry charges other cavalry from 10 hexes in a row, or 3 hexes in a row, or 1 hex in a row, there's no doubling of the cavalry and no halving of it, because momentum doesn't affect cav on cav.
Okay, then I guess
momentum only affects cav on infantry, and it only heavy cav on infantry.
Okay.
If heavy cav charges infantry in the flank with a 3 hex run up, it's quadrupled.
Mm-hmm.
But cav on cav onto the flank from any distance, it's just doubled.
Okay, that answers that question. So maybe I was thinking of the 3 hexes in a row. Doesn't work against the cavalry.
Yep.
All right, I think that
Did
answered the question. We did pull Russian chit number 1 and French chit number 3.
In which order?
Russian chit number
Russian
1
one
came
for
up. And
Robert, looks like we're back in game room 1 for more cavalry action.
Okay. Alrighty.
Let's see.
did we figure out where French chit number 3 is? Is that out there on Robert's side of the map?
3 is, I'll tell you this, 3 is, 3 is, I don't know what 3 is. Where is it?
Oh, it's Hussein. It's Robert.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
That's right. I couldn't find who's. I was looking on my chart here, and I couldn't. He's just stuck out there. And that's right. I didn't. We moved him, and I didn't find him on the chart there yet. Okay, so he's all right. That's right. So some more cavalry action over there. Whatever. All right. I'm doing some calculation here. Sorry. 1, 2, 3. interesting. Do I want to do that?
I mean, you'll be doubled for the flank, but then I'll be doubled because it's heavy cavalry against light cavalry.
Yeah,
Right.
that's what I'm.
So that kind of equals it out. Yeah, I mean, I would just say either do it or don't do it, but, you know, trying to figure out what the odds are in advance is just a, you know,
Yeah, I know.
I mean, play a game of chess if that's what you want to do.
Well, because can I get enough? Can I make it 2-1? Let's see. I don't know if I can make it 2-1 or not. But I know I can get the 1, but I don't know.
That sounds like the calculations that were made in France.
All right, these are some lands.
Can I get 2-1 with this cavalry? If not, I don't want to do it. Count the number of horses he has.
So if I go, all right, so where's my approach? Boom, there. All right, let's see what we get here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, that one's good. All right. So that's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Now, does he have to consolidate? He was in 2 hexes previously.
He consolidate you, and he can move into the. He can consolidate 1 hex per hex he moves forward. So the first move forward.
Oh, so it doesn't cost anything to do that?
Nope.
Oh,
Nope.
okay, cool.
So now you're. I lost my count here.
So
1.
So 1,
2,
2,
3, 4,
3, 4, 5.
And we got 6, 7. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Charge.
All right, so who are you charging?
Well, we're not done yet. I don't have to tell you yet.
Oh, okay. I did not realize you were still moving other units. So
All right. And we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
8, 9.
9.
Right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yep.
$12. And he's going to charge. All right. And I guess, I can move my commander. Where do I want my commander to end up? Let's bring my commander up into here. All right. Who will we do first? And now we'll do it. Okay, we will do this charge first. This is the target of the charge.
Now, my question is, can you do that? Because you have to stop when you hit or you come adjacent to a unit that you're already adjacent here. Wouldn't you want to start here? Because if you start there, that this guy's already hitting this guy, he's got to stop. So you can't go from there to there, is what I'm saying. If you were in these two hexes, then you could. Yep.
All right.
Wouldn't that be an issue leaving?
There'll be opportunity fire, but it's halved, right? And I only get the one shot. So when he could move here and then expand, and that doesn't trigger anything. And then when I go to, when he goes to move forward, then I would get a parting shot at him. So for what it's worth. Yeah, so let me go ahead and do that. You've got, I don't know how many increments you have there, 12. So I'll have a plus.
No, it's half of that. It's only, no, you don't get a plus because he's in two hexes there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right.
6.
Yeah. Okay,
It's 6,
so here we go.
so
Let's
he's in
roll, see
line,
what we
so it's
get.
defense of 9.
Yeah, that's a hit.
Is it? It's a 9 defense. What's your?
It's not a 9 defense.
Yeah, it is.
It's a 61. I rolled a 61. It unless I was at like, some ungodly thing. I've got 6 to your 9. So it's 1.5 to 1. A 61 is a hit.
1 to 1.5.
It's 1. It's 1 to 1.5. Yes.
That's not.
You can take a look, but I know a 55 or better at 1 to 1.5 is a hit. So 61 is definitely a hit.
I'm just being sure.
Yeah. And I don't even know if you have a morale, whether you need to roll for a morale.
Oops, I got an extra charge marker on there for some reason.
The Red Lancers.
Okay, so you roll an 11 or 12. 22, close. Okay.
All right, so and I do the other one.
Nope, no. Do we do those or do we do the?
Yeah, you move. You move everybody into contact.
Okay.
This is the
Sure.
shot. And there. So.
Okay. Cool. All right. This guy's got to retreat somewhere. He can't stay where he's at, so he'll go there.
Yeah. All right. So we'll try this guy first.
Okay. So you're attacking
from the rear.
From the rear. So you'll probably be not doubled, but improved by what, 50% maybe?
Yeah. Yep.
Let's see.
Calculator. So we're at 3, 4, or 11 14ths. Times 49 times 1.5, and he's got a +8, so that's 16 to plus 32. Okay, so it's 57 plus 30. It's 58 plus 32.
That's 90.
Okay. All right. And let's see what my guy is worth. He is going to be...
It's going to be half because he's tired. So it'll be just make the regular calculate 39.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. No, but he's lost some stuff too.
Right.
All right. So then he's going to be 11. So you're at 5 to 1 odds. Right? Because I'm doubled, so I actually have 23.
23. So we're 90 to 23. So is that 4? Might only be 3 to 1.
It is just, it's 3.5 to 1 if they have that.
I don't think there's a 3.5 to 1. Yeah.
Let's take a look and see.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's not.
Man, that's close.
Yeah, so it's 3 to 1, and my leader will subtract 3. So 3 to 1 with a -3.
Oh, you got a leader there? Maybe I should
Yep.
have brought my leader along with me. Damn. Okay. All right. 3 to 1 on
Yep.
on the assault chart. Okay. Let's see. Let's roll big or stay home.
A
21. That's not big
going to
enough.
be a bounce,
It's a bounce.
probably. So
That's a
1,
bounce.
2, 3. So that's a 14. So what happens on a bounce? I haven't had a bounce yet with this rule set.
Right. Okay. So it's a specific, and then all right, we got a bounce, and let's see.
Cavalry bounce. Okay, cavalry which are involved in a melee, either as the attacker or defender, when a blank result is obtained, will bounce. That is retreat 1/3 of their printed movement potential. If both the attacker and defender are cavalry, then both bounce from a blank result. In this case, the bounce moves are considered to be simultaneous, but procedurally, the attacker conducts his bounce move first. This retreat is considered involuntary movement and does not trigger opportunity reactions. Each bouncing cavalry stack will lose 1 increment for each hex in an enemy zone of influence retreated from or through during this retreat. The path of retreat for bouncing cavalry subscribes to the priorities of retreat. After retreating 1/3 of its printed movement, the cavalry makes a morale check. If it passes its morale check, it disorders or routes if already disordered. If it fails the morale check, it routes and executes route movement the full distance, less the movement points it expended. Okay, so I guess you'd go ahead and move your guy back 1/3 of his.
E5. Yeah.
Right, so he's going to lose a increment.
No, I don't have to
there,
go through that.
increment.
I can go through here. These are not. I can go through my own men.
No, you can't.
Yes, you can.
You can retreat through your own men, and they're
Yes.
involved with something else?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
What? This, I'm sorry, this is new magic. In the other rule sets, you generally can't retreat through the guys that are doing something else. You've got to, because you can't move through charging cavalry. So I don't know how you could retreat through charging cavalry. Right? During the charge procedure, during the charge procedure, you can't charge through your own cavalry. So, but let's see. It says path of retreat follows the priorities of retreat. So I guess you would have whatever the retreat rules are. So,
Under involuntary movement, if I remember right.
yes.
Probably
Yeah,
page 20,
involuntary
27.
I am curious whether
It says, okay, so here we are. Cavalry bounce is also considered involuntary movement. The movement a unit bounces, recoils, or becomes, the moment a unit bounces, recoils, or becomes PGD and executes route movement, this movement is considered involuntary and does not trigger opportunity reactions regardless of the movement taken through the ZOCs. All movement costs are in effect when a unit conducts bounce or retreat. When a unit recoils, it retreats the indicated number of hexes, but is not allowed to violate the retreat rules below and is subject to the path of retreat requirements. Infantry units which route use the movement cost for infantry. Cavalry which bounce or route use movement points for cavalry. Retreating units cannot retreat through enemy combat units. They may retreat through enemy leaders who are alone in the hex. They cannot go through prohibited terrain. Units conducting involuntary movement must follow a path of retreat. When a unit conducts involuntary retreat, each hex entered must be 1 hex further away from the nearest Retreating units are not allowed to enter the same hex twice. If unable to do their retreat, units surrender. All right, okay. Units
look at-
already in PGD, so that doesn't seem to be the case. I don't know. There doesn't seem to be anything that's talking about it, but
We should look at stacking under 17 because a lot of the times the rules are all over the dang place.
okay.
That's a rule. That's section 11 starts on. You do have to stack. You do have to consult the stacking violation chart, though.
Right. Well, they are not.
Right.
Yeah, they're not disordered or anything like that. So I don't know if there's.
Yeah, but let's take a look at the stacking violation chart anyway.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, that's kind of one of the things I'm wondering about right now. They're going to end disordered, but are they disordered at this point considered?
Well, even if they are, they can't. That's not going to affect you. Disordered units can move through good order units usually, right?
Yeah.
But I'm
Yep.
just wondering if, if you're retreating through a unit that's involved or doing something. I guess it's all simultaneous. So, but yeah, if they're well, are they disordered or are they only disordered at the end when you make your morale check?
So they displace, and then when a stacking violation occurs due to involuntary movement, all units in the hex make a morale check.
Well, this is not displacing. So I don't think they're. I don't think they're disordered yet.
Bounce, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
talking about cavalry bounce. So each bouncing cavalry stack will lose an increment, right? Okay, the path of retreat. After retreating 1/3, they make a morale check. If it passes, they disorder, or rout if already disordered. If they fail, then they rout. So technically, they're not anything yet, right? It
Right.
sounds like you don't check for it until later.
And we got
Brennan, are you
Brennan.
back in?
Yeah.
He's back.
Okay, we've got a question for
Okay,
you.
we got a bounce here.
Whereabouts?
North of Semyenovskoye,
Yeah.
over here.
It's a French charge.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so they got a bounce result, and so we're trying to figure out where this unit goes.
The red Lancers.
Yep, the Red Lancers. Can they go through his own units that are involved in this other
Well, their
charge?
first move is back one to the clear because that's 2 hexes away from any enemy unit.
That's the first. Yeah, that's the first criteria.
First one.
Okay. So they would go there.
No,
Nope.
They would
They
go
have to
there.
go.
north. And they're disordered.
They're not disordered till the end of their bounce.
Okay, fine. So that, but okay, fine. Well, then they can go anywhere because if they're in a 2 hex line, are you sure that they don't they disorder before they bounce?
Well, no, it says after retreating 1/3 of the printed movement potential, the cavalry makes a morale check. If it passes this morale check, it disorders.
Okay.
So that's after the retreating.
Okay. All right. Fine. So then your retreating is a 2 hex line, right? And are you in a zone of control, or did you hit from the rear with no zone?
I
He hit him from the rear.
Okay. So you're not taking a hit probably, unless some of the guys move. Yeah. So you back up. You can go anywhere from here. All kinds of crazy places. You could go here. You could go here, and you're going as a 2 hex line. So choose where you want to go.
But doesn't he have to try to get 2 hexes away from you?
He can't because he's a 2 hex line. There's no place he's going to go that will
But he
be
could
2.
he could put part of him into 2 hexes.
No, they both have to go. If possible, they both. If they can't both get to 2, then you have free choice of anywhere.
Now, if I do go over here, then that gets an opportunity charge.
Nope,
right?
nope, because it's
Or no,
involuntary.
bounce.
It's a bounce, so there wouldn't be any opportunity.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
We can go.
You'll okay. You go there, so that's 1, and you're moving like 5, right? 1 there.
2.
Yeah, that takes a hit. 2 and take a hit. 3, take another hit.
So yeah. 4.
4, take another hit, and then now you're moving without taking hits because there's no zone of control.
Right. So he goes
Wouldn't you be better
5.
off going this way, David?
He still would have lost. He would have lost 1 for there, and there he would have
Twice.
lost. Yeah,
Yeah. 3, yeah,
because
much
he's
more now.
because he's in a 2 hex line. He's losing. He's still going to lose 4, right?
Yeah, but
And
wouldn't he end up finishing right there, though?
So there's 5 to there,
And is it movement points or is it hexes? It's movement points.
It's movement points.
Yeah.
If you went through, as Michael is saying, if you go through the cultivated, you may not go as many hexes because it's 2 per. So you might fewer hexes, fewer losses, maybe.
All right. Well, they'll go here, and okay. So now he'll roll it for a thing, and he's disordered here.
That is a beautiful unit. Wow, look at that bright red.
It's got a little extra red on it now.
Yeah. How do you flip these charge things?
So if you highlight it and then you go down to charged, Control Q, it then flips it over to the gray charge button.
Oh, okay. That's not very.
Yeah.
All right.
So and so
Sorry.
then did he take what, 3 hits going that way?
Yeah,
Or-
he's going to take 3 hits going that
Yeah.
way. So
Okay. All right. So then my guy is going to be
I
exhausted.
don't-
I think it's 4 hits, but
Well, I don't know. You guys can figure it out. I'm going to do my guy. So he's
So
got to
it's
go
back
back.
here.
He's tired.
No, the first one I don't because I'm not in his EZOC.
yeah.
So I went there.
But you go to
1,
here, right? But you go to here, that's 1, and you go here, that's 2.
2, and 3.
and then- okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. And my head, I would go back 2 hexes because I was tired. All right. And then I'll
Now-
make my morale check.
Yeah. Now,
And I might
I
fail.
don't think you can. I don't think you can go that way because it does say that it is simultaneous. And I
No, but it
was in
says
those
you. But it says you go first.
Yeah, but you
Procedurally.
count it as
No,
simultaneous.
it's so if you read it, it
I
says
was going to say.
yeah. It
When the blank
says-
goes out, the bounce retreat 1/3 of that. If both attacking or both bounce from blank goes out, the case of the bounce moves are considered to be simultaneous.
But
But
the attacker conducts
procedurally-
their move first.
Procedurally, but yeah, but that doesn't clear out a square for you to go that way. You're going away from the attack.
Okay, so then I move 1 hex there. There's my 2 movement points.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you lose 1 increment.
Why do I lose 1 increment? I didn't go
Because you
through
were in
anyone's
my-
zone.
You automatically lose 1 because you were in my zone of
Oh, then you would lose.
either
Oh, okay.
in the attack. You were in my EZOC.
Ah, okay. So even though you left, even though you
Right.
bounced.
If we bounce, okay. If we were both
No,
facing
it's
each other,
only
bounce?
it's only if I'm passing through an enemy zone of influence, right?
Exiting.
And you exited mine, even though I moved first. You still exited my. It's simultaneous. You
Okay.
lose 1.
Cool.
Okay. And you make a morale check.
Yes, and I failed. So
Now
then
you
I'm
route.
going to move the rest. So I'm going to route. All right. So then I'm improved by 50%. So if my normal movement is 12, it's going to be 18. I spent,
Maybe half for tired.
so I'm 9. So I've got 7
Yeah.
more movement points to go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 gets me up there. And let me put a route marker on him. There we go. Okay, cool.
In the first piece
And
of
did you
that,
put an
move two or
exhausted
four?
marker on your guide,
Not
David?
yet.
Not
Not
yet.
yet. That's the
Okay.
last thing that actually
Hey,
gets.
Eric, before you made your morale check, did you move him 2 or 4?
He moved 2 because he was tired at the beginning of the combat, so his movement was halved. So he had a third of 6 is 2. He moved into the
But you're
cultivated
supposed to
terrain,
move
which
printed,
cost 2.
though. It's a third of printed.
But he's got a modifier for being tired.
Probably use the tired modifier. It may not be exactly clear.
Yeah. That's what I was. Hence my confusion. It doesn't give clarity to modifiers of tired or exhausted. All right.
Like if the tired and exhausted affect your route moves, they probably affect bounce.
Yeah, I get it.
All right. Well, that was exciting.
Yeah.
Cavalry action is always exciting and usually not very impactful. It's usually pretty well balanced.
Okay. So now we've got this one over here.
All right.
And I've got 39.
Doubled heavy versus light.
Right.
But
At 78.
You can either double and double, or you can just leave it as is and call it.
That's a complicated melee there because of the rear and flank. So I would probably double it to really get it well.
Yeah.
So mine, all right. So my flank one is double. So half of this is double. So I got 56 from the flank. And then I've got
42 from there.
42 from the rear.
98 plus 36, 120, 134.
All right. So whatever that is.
78.
78, 1.5 to 1.
Oh, that didn't turn out as good as I wanted.
Yeah,
Okay.
the big dragoon regiment, they're really heavy.
Yeah. Boom. All right.
A 12.
Oh
Oh my gosh.
All right.
What's the result
So-
for that?
That's
That's
not good.
Attacker routes.
83.
Not
No, it's
good.
it's
No,
1.5 to 1.
A3. Sorry, AD3.
Yeah.
All right.
I was looking at the wrong
At
one
least
there.
no losses. Because there's no zones of control.
All right. So, all right. So I go into this disorder. All right. And charged is flipped. Fifth.
As long as you don't roll snake eyes, you're going to be fine.
Yeah.
Why would he roll a snake eyes?
Well, he's got to make the roll on the after the bounce.
No, because he got a AD. He
This
didn't
isn't
bounce.
bounce.
This is a
Oh,
AD3.
sorry.
So he
I apologize.
he
I apologize.
he is disordered and he goes back 3 hexes.
Yep.
Or is it 3 movement points?
Texas.
3 hexes. Okay.
Well, you know the battle action is really getting hot when these big cavalry regiments get involved. Like Robert and I have been running over tiny little Cossacks and chasseurs on the way far left flank, but in the center, it's the guard lancers and the dragoons.
Serious stuff.
So I'm disordered and I'm exhausted.
Now do I get to reposition myself, or am I done where I'm at?
You're done.
You get to regroup.
Yeah.
You,
I would think I would
yeah.
because I was
Yeah, you get to regroup.
victorious. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we will fade back a little bit here.
Will you turn that other light on?
Yeah, I'll do that in just a second.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Cool.
All right. Well, that didn't work out too very good.
I think it was brilliant, David. Wow, you can't possibly complain about that.
Welcome to my world.
All right. Did we get all the chits then caught up so far? So who was number 3? That was you, Robert?
Yeah, I moved to say. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's grab another one. So this is then French number 6. I don't know who that is or where that's at. And then we got French number 7. I don't know where that's at. And then we have Russian number 2.
7.
So 6.
Folks, I'm going to have
7,
to
and
wrap it up at this point. Have fun. If some of my chits come up, I can do them later on next time.
Okay. Take care. I hope all goes well for you, Brennan.
Thanks. And if somebody could email me the file when it's all done.
Sure. Cool.
It's always such a kick playing with y'all. Take her easy.
Indeed.
Good night. Later.
All right.
All right.
So we had French.
7 are both me.
Okay. And where are you at? Out on the...
6 is over on the left. 7 is over on the right. So I'm going to start with Saint Alphonse.
Okay.
All right.
Who
All
was
right.
2?
So all right.
2 is your
1,
core.
2,
Okay.
4, 6, 8. All right, Maroon.
No, and two hexes there.
Oh yeah. Thank you. Brown, him, and let's see. I'm gonna roll to limber him.
And they
He
do.
limbers. I'm gonna save myself flipping the counter, and I'm gonna put him right there. Okay, Saint Alphonse is done.
So he's overlapping that other gun? Is that what I understand?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both in the same command.
They should though have the same facing though, right? Right.
Yeah, is that weird on the vertice though? Does it have to face the vertice?
No, the artillery that's unlimbered faces a hex side. So yeah.
They're saying okay, got it.
Yep.
All right. All right. So Saint Alphonse is done.
So that was number
boom,
6.
boom.
So number
right.
7. Which one was number
so
7?
This is Krasinski, who happens to be right here.
Okay.
Oh, what do I want to do here? I really haven't given this much thought. So I can't do that. This guy's got a catch. I want to blast him. Let's see. They can blast him. I can't prolong into this. Wait.
No, foot guns can't prolong adjacent to enemy infantry or artillery.
Is it into a ZOI or adjacent to a unit?
I think it is. Well, I don't know.
I think it's a zone of control, but
facing 37
Yeah,
maneuvers.
ZOI. And correct me if I'm wrong, but your skirmishers don't have a ZOI, correct?
Oh, they absolutely do. They're infantry
Yeah.
skirmishers. They have a.
They do.
zone of
Okay.
influence, yeah.
So I can't lie into them. Okay,
Correct.
cool. Never mind. All right, Rick, you're gonna blast.
I wouldn't use the word blast with just one increment, but okay.
You know, there's always holding out hope. Okay. All right, so these two are same battalion. Okay. So they're gonna go right there. They're gonna go right there, and I don't know, David. Do I want to get infantry right next to these guns?
Probably not.
Yeah. You know what? Rick, do you want me to clear out these or attempt to clear out these skirmishers right here?
No.
No? All right, I gotta find
No.
something for these guys to do. Because I can do that.
Well, they can come in and shoot on the flank of this guy or something.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just do that. Three.
6, 7. Yep.
Anybody else under Kaczynski? Nope, everybody else has to kedge.
In fact, that's good because now that lets this one also shoot it here.
Yep. Now you have a
Yeah.
refused flank.
All right. That's disordered. Okay. I think the other guy's got a kedge. Yep, those guys got a kedge. All right, Krasinski is, everybody under his command that's in command range is done. Okay, cool.
All right. So then it is Russians number 2, which are my guys over here. They are this corps. So
I'm gonna
let's
grab
see.
another one here. Okay, and we got regroup coming after this.
Oh, good to know. All right.
Why don't we leave regroup on the board and call it at that point?
Probably a good idea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm suffering.
You haven't done anything exciting yet, Rick. Are you still on
No,
Japanese
cold is
time?
kicking my butt.
Oh, no,
No,
that's no fun.
killing me. Yeah.
That is no fun. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and plug some holes here. We'll move this guy there. Does it trigger opportunity fire if you change facing? Anybody?
My first reaction is no, because there's no movement points, but then I want to double check.
Yeah, I agree. My initial reaction is no.
Okay.
There's only 109 mentions of facing in the rules. That's
Rule 14 or page 14.
Thank you.
Didn't say anything about it.
Well, but I think, okay, so I think the only one that you're allowed to do is 9.22, which is the about face. Because it's specifically mentioned, is how I would argue that.
You would argue what?
If you change facing like turning, that triggers a reaction. But if you change facing by just about phase 9.22, it's exempted.
So you're looking at facing changes. So it says
Yeah.
it does trigger
No,
opportunity fire.
so 9.22 says the about face does not trigger opportunity reactions, but I would argue,
I don't think the regular one either does.
but there's no exception. So why mention the exception if it's explicit already?
So it's page 30 is where we have opportunity fire stuff.
Yeah, and it doesn't make any mention of facing in 15.6.
Yeah. I didn't think it did because you weren't spending any movement points. Okay. So that takes care of that section of the line. Everybody's fairly happy there. We just need to tidy up the line a little bit here. We'll push somebody over here. So we have a gap to retreat through. When Rick comes running up with his wild berserkers. Okay, meanwhile, over on the other side of the map, what are we going to do? All right, I'm going to try to limber up these guns. And they limber. And we will move them back a little bit. 1, 2, 3. Well, yeah, 1, 2, 3. We'll get them there. Then these guns. 1, 2, 3.
Two more movement points. Go for it.
And these guys we can now unlimber. Okay. And we will park Lowenstern there. And meanwhile, back on the ranch. So that's going to be those guys are skirmishers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay. Well, we can get them there easily. All right. These guns will unlimber. These guns will move on top of them and then unlimber. All right. Rebuilding our stuff there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if we take him out of line, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we can put him back into line 7. All right. Where where's the rest of those guys? They are over here. Oh, they are not out of command. They are in command still. I think I've got the right guys, right? Yes, brown and white. Okay. All right, where's our leader? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, those guys are just going to be out of command, I guess. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we can get over there, I think. Right? Going down a hill doesn't cost anything. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We can get right there. Oh, we can't. There's cavalry right there. We can get right there. All right. All right, then this guy's going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And he will change into line. Oh, actually, you're going to get a shot at me.
Yeah, why is he turned around? He's not facing that way.
Yeah, no. I'd have to stop because I've got, well, I could sneak through there, here to there to there.
What?
Yeah.
This actually this guy's this way.
No, he's my unit.
Oh, that's your unit.
Yeah. Yeah, but
Well,
you would get a shot
Oh,
at him as he passes. Does the square exert a zone of influence, or you just
Yeah.
shoot out of it?
Yeah, I shoot at it as you go by.
Okay, right.
Where did he come from?
He was over here, so he went
All right.
this way, and would have gone past you. I mean, he would have gone here to there, but then when he went from there to there, you would have gotten a shot at him as he passed.
All right, he's how many? All right, so where did he start? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
He was over here.
Okay, so
In
he was
2 hexes, yeah. So 1, 2,
2 hex.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's had enough movement points to get over there. And that guy would just stop right there.
Show me how he moved. Okay, so 1.
So he was here, right? So this is an
Right.
empty hex. So it'd just be 1, 1, 2, 3. There's skirmishers there. 4, 5, right?
That's all right. So he's in that 2 hexes and the second. And the
Yeah,
first
he
one.
was there, right? So I'm just going by by the lead hex, right?
Well,
So he's just moving like a snake because he's moving through the sideways. So here, there, 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 there.
hey, he doesn't have enough movement points to do that.
Why not?
Or
The stuff only costs 1 to go.
oh, I was thinking because
He's not cavalry. He's not cavalry. He's just
No, but I mean this stuff. I thought that was 2 movement points
for cavalry. It is for infantry. It's not.
So
yeah,
I play too many different games.
That's my problem. I'm playing 3
know.
different rule sets of La Bataille. Yeah.
Okay, what's that movement point?
Yeah.
Or I should call it. It's only 1 for infantry. Okay. Yep. And I get 1 shot at 1 point there as you move in.
Yep.
All right.
So, nah, it's not enough to catch him.
No.
Okay. Cool. All right. That is that excitement. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now that's about the best I can do with these poor guys for the moment. Okay. Anybody else? I still have a reserve. Okay. Cool. We can feed some more bodies in once those guys get through the chipper. Okay. All right. I guess we would do our regroup.
Didn't we say, are we going to do it or are we going to wait till next week?
I don't know what you guys want to do.
Let's do regroup next week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we will tip it sideways. And that should take care of things.
Dave Gamas.
So as a quick heads up, I am out of town next week and I'm unsure if I'm able to make it. If that is the case, maybe what I'll do is like on Sunday email over just my regroup stuff because both of my chits have been done.
Oh yeah, or feel free to just do them and then just send us the file.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or I mean,
Yeah,
if you got some time now, you can do your regroups now, and I'll save it when you're done. I'll end the live stream, and then you can do your stuff, and people can stick around and then just save it later. I got to send a copy to Brennan anyway, but that way at least we'll have that part of it for your stuff taken care of.
All right, works for me. I'll see everybody. I'll see who I see next week. Bye.
Indeed. All right.
All right. Unlimbered artillery can kedge as part of regroup, yes?
Unlimbered? No, it can try and
it can try rolling and moving. Okay.
It can try to limber and then move back towards the leader.
Yeah. Is this guy not a command? No, he's not. He is not on command. He is.
Good night, guys.
All right. Good night, Rick. I hope you feel better.
All right.
Thank you.
So I'm gonna roll for these guys.
See you guys later.
All right. Take care, Ron.
Bye.
Okay.